So this is the portrait I was working on before in that last video. I brought it up just a little bit more, but I decided I would just go ahead and fill in the background, do the shirt, and just do a little bit of arbitrary blending with some of those strokes that I did before. Like I said, it's really kind of nice to be able to work with it while it's wet. After it dries, you kind of have another series of steps that you have to complete, and we'll go over that in another video, how to pick up a painting when it's already dry. So I went ahead and just added a little bit more into the hair and blended out some and blended in some of these highlights. The background, as you can see in the shirt. So I just want to go into a little bit about adding some other sort of going back to the darks after I blended in some lights. After you blend in the lights, you can sometimes find yourself in this kind of this limbo where you've lost some of what you had before, and this is okay to me. That this is just another part of the process. But I do want to go back and sort of reestablish some of my darks. You can see some of the darks that I had before, just basically this underpainting, this purple underpainting that I had put in just preliminarily, right, to begin. So I'm going to go ahead and just sort of go over those initial darks to get them where I want them. So I'm going to go ahead and make a brown out of my three primary colors, but I want to make it darker than the other colors that I had before. So I'm going to add a little bit more ultramarine blue to get it pretty dark. And that dark basically looks just like a nice kind of typical brown. That's going to work for what I need today. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to need the picture. Let me show the picture again. You can see the picture, but I feel like her chin is too low. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up just a notch. She has this this is what bothers a lot of people initially when you start a portrait. They have this evil or sad or way too happy look to them, right? Expression is so subjective to people that they automatically want to find an expression in something, in this case I feel like she looks a little evil, right? Or in this one she doesn't really look evil, right? But in this one she looks like devil child. Okay, to me anyway. I mean, maybe not to you, but to me. And that's okay. I mean, I do want to adjust that. That's not, expression is a huge part of portraiture, so obviously we do want to adjust that. But just recognize that you're seeing these expressions early on, and that's okay. It's not something you immediately need to scramble to correct, right? Just continue with your process. Don't let it get to you. So I'm gonna go, let's see, this eye, this at a 3/4 angle, the eye on the side is always kind of tricky for me, personally. There's just a little bit of dark kind of gathering here, and her eyes are like super bright, so I don't need to go into that. There's a shadow falling across here that's gonna be helpful. And then here, where the crease of her smile happens. Smile creases are kind of hard too because they tend to disturb the face in ways that don't at first look right to us, right? So those smile creases, they have to be there when you have a smiling individual. My brush is falling apart, but they're sometimes hard to come to peace with. So when you're trying to figure out where your features go, just to make sure that they're correct, one thing you can do is look at the corner of the nose, like this corner of the nose, the nostril right here. See where it comes to in your painting versus where it comes to in your photograph. So in the photograph, the edge of her nostril comes to just beyond the corner of her eye, so it should happen right about here. So that's how I can tell right away that the corner of her nose needs to come out a little bit. Or you could have said also that the eye could have come out. You can go either way, but sometimes there's a correct and an incorrect way to do that, depending on where what your portrait is actually doing. All right, here comes the smile part. Oh boy, wish me luck. So there's a dark in here, right? All right, I'm gonna go around. I think it's too low, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up a little bit. Because look how close the little area between the tip of the nose and the other side of the mouth are. They're really very close. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. Uh-oh, looking more devilish as we go along, right? So we have a little line that goes here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in. A line where a little bit of dark where the cheekbone is. And then we have this part where the lip would be. I'm just gonna dark it down. I need a different brush. This wiggly brush is driving me crazy. Here we go, this one will be better. Adjust that side of the smile. Okay, so then we have this. Okay. And then I'm gonna go up to the eyeballs. A little bit of dark. Get rid of this first color that I put down. There's that dark around the eye, contributing to the devil child look. Very lovely. Alright, so we have that. This really needs to be way lightened out. Lighten, 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 lighten. Darken, 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 darken. Adjust, adjust, adjust. Alright, so I'm gonna lighten that line a little bit. The nose a little bit. And then this part needs to come in. Look at that. Well, that's interesting. I can bring that in. I think that would help. So if I brought that in with my... Because if you look at the edge of her mouth compared to the edge of her face, those are also very close because her head is tucked down, I mean. Ugh, this little thing is driving me crazy. Tucked down, and the edge of her nose is actually also quite close to the edge of her face. So when you have those big aha moments, that's when your portrait really starts to change for the better. When you see relationships from the edge of the face to the background, things like that. I'm going to bring this in again. It really is quite dramatic, that tilt. And then we have more coming on, okay? So that's more of that jazz. I'll go ahead and take a little bit of white on my brush and start just throwing in a couple of highlights. We have this big highlight on the forehead, right? And we can just, I kind of already put a little bit of that on there while you guys weren't looking, but put more on there because it is definitely very bright, and it goes into the hair too, so bright sunlight. Alright, so then I'm going to take some white over here and over here and over here and over here, 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 and then I'm just going to blend it down. Those white dots are place markers for where I need to remember to put my highlights, right? Because I'm not just going to let those dry that way. That's kind of my way of keeping myself honest, right? Where I saw this, now I got to do what I said I'd do. You may notice early on that the color tone in your portrait is starting to look a little dull, right? Well, like it does look dull comparatively, right? More too pinky, maybe too much on the red, but overall still duller than this. This is really more of a goldish skin tone and look to it, right? And that's okay. There's a really nifty trick for that as we go on. So you should try and keep your color as true as you can while you're working on it, but if you get towards the end and it's not the way you want it, don't sweat that, because there is a really nifty trick that I'm going to show you for fixing that. Right, so kind of starting to look more three-dimensional, that's for sure, right? Still the devil child, still totally devil child, right? I see it, I see it. You can say it, it's okay, it won't hurt my feelings. And then I'm going to go ahead and get a sort of smaller brush. This is kind of a fun part in portrait painting is when you get to really define out features more. Stop chewing on my brushes, cat. Go away. Shoot. Stinking cats. Alright, so go over here. I'm gonna go ahead and put this really dark thing in again because I lost it. I'm gonna put this in there again. Now that I think I found where it goes. We'll see though. I think it actually is a little farther out. And then my darks are kind of bluish. They're not like pure black, right? We don't want to necessarily go pure black right off the bat on this. Even if it is pure black, we can go pure black towards the end stages. And then don't get too wound up in the eyeballs right off the bat. Don't treat them specially with especially more than you would any of the other aspects of the face to start with. That leads to habits of obsession. And I know we all love eyeballs. I think everybody loves eyeballs. We always notice eyeballs so much more than other parts of the face most of the time. And we really appreciate the eyeballs, right? So I think it's only natural that we have an inclination to treat them more specially. But for now, just kind of avoid that. We are going to take more attention to the eyeballs at some point. But right now, you just kind of want to focus on where your truly darks are. And then focus on where your truly lights are. And then you'll see that this eyeball will start to basically paint itself once you start doing that. And then I gotta bring this eyeball close to the edge. I always end up pushing my eyeballs out to the edges when they should be right up against the bridge of the nose there. Okay, so let's see. A little more facey, right? Not quite. I feel like her face needs to be sort of scrunched down. I feel like her face looks like maybe an older child. It's something more elongated. So eventually, as I go on with this, I'm gonna work on widening her face out a little bit, shortening it, or cherubifying it. Is that a word? Maybe. And so yeah, that's just another step in the portrait process.